Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, wait, how did they not understand what I meant? We shake our heads, we replay the moment, and we assume the other person must have been confused, distracted, or even difficult. But what if the problem isn't them? What if the real issue is that deep down, we expect other people to think exactly like we do? Today, we're stepping into one of the strangest quirks of human psychology, something so invisible we rarely notice it, yet so powerful it shapes our relationships, our conflicts, and our decisions every single day. This is the hidden force called the false consensus effect, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think about this. You're at work, and a coworker sends a message that feels blunt. Not rude exactly, just short. You assume they're annoyed. Meanwhile, that coworker thinks you're the one being distant because your reply seemed overly formal. Two people, two interpretations, both convinced their version is the normal one. Welcome to the default setting of the human brain. We use our own mind as the template for everyone else's. We assume our tone is the standard tone. Our preferences are the reasonable preferences. Our reactions are the normal reactions. And this isn't because we're selfish, it's because our brain is lazy in a brilliantly efficient way. It takes the one thing it truly understands, you, and copies it onto the world around you. But this shortcut comes at a cost.
This instinct, the false consensus effect, is the belief that our attitudes and opinions are far more common than they actually are. It sounds harmless, but it quietly shapes how we judge others, how we choose friends, how we interpret silence, and how we argue. Here's the twist no one expects. We don't just assume people agree with us, we assume the people who don't agree with us must have some kind of flaw. They're misinformed, emotional, irrational, or biased. It feels objective, fair, logical, but it's just our brain echoing itself back to us. And that's where the trouble starts. Let me tell you a quick story you'll probably recognize. A woman named Emily kept texting her sister about planning a birthday dinner. Her sister replied with one-word answers. Sure, okay, fine. Emily started spiraling. She's mad at me. Did I say something? Did I forget something? Why is she being so cold? She replayed their last conversation, looking for clues. She planned how she'd confront her sister. She even considered canceling the dinner. But when they finally talked, her sister said, "Oh, no, I wasn't upset. I was at the dentist." My mouth was numb. Two completely different realities, both believable, only one true. Emily's brain and yours and mine fills silence with our own voice. It interprets other people's behavior based on our internal logic, our mood, our patterns. The mistake isn't that Emily cared too much. It's that she assumed she understood her sister's inner world when she never actually saw it. This is the danger. We end up fighting battles that only exist in our imagination. Researchers have found that when people are asked how many others share their opinions, they consistently overestimate. A lot. It's as if our brain whispers, everyone would probably think this way. We don't see it happening. We only see the fallout later, the miscommunication, the hurt feelings, the unnecessary conflict. This isn't some rare personality quirk. It's a universal human blind spot amplified in our social media feeds that show us exactly what we already believe. So how do we escape this echo chamber in our own heads? Understanding the bias is the first step. But the real practice isn't to become a better mind reader, it's to stop trying. It's to replace the certainty of assumption with the humility of curiosity. The next time you feel that friction, that moment of, how could they possibly think that? Pause. Ask a question instead of drawing a conclusion. Because the moment we stop assuming everyone's inner world is a mirror of our own is the moment we can finally truly connect with them. We all have this fundamental, unspoken belief that other people think like us. It's an illusion, a deep-seated instinct that creates invisible pressure in nearly every relationship we have. And this bias is made even stronger by three specific traps that trick our minds. The first trap is that familiarity feels universal. The people closest to us, our family, our friends, they shape our entire sense of what is normal. If your family communicates openly and directly, you expect everyone else to do the same. If your friend group avoids conflict at all costs, you assume silence equals harmony. But these circles are just microcultures. What feels obvious and true inside your world might be completely foreign to someone else. The second trap is that our memories are biased toward ourselves. Think about it. Your brain stores your own thoughts, your intentions, your feelings in rich, vivid detail. But everyone else's mind, that's stored through tiny snapshots, brief observations, and a whole lot of guesswork. So when you try to predict how someone will act, the only detailed blueprint your brain has to work with is your own. It's not trying to deceive you, it's just trying to fill in the unknown with the only thing it truly knows, you. The third trap is that agreement feels like a social survival skill. Evolution wired us to seek belonging. We survived in tribes by staying aligned. So when someone disagrees with us, it doesn't just register as a different opinion. On a primal level, it feels like a threat to our connection, a sign that the other person is stepping outside of our shared reality. This is why small disagreements can escalate so quickly into major conflicts. And the impact of these traps is everywhere. In friendships, we assume our friend will be hurt by a comment that hurt us, even if that's not how their mind works at all. In romantic relationships, this bias is even louder. We expect our partner's love language to mirror ours. We assume they should just know what our hints mean, what our tone implies, what our unspoken needs are. And when they don't, we're left thinking, how could they not know? But they don't know, because they are not you. Even in parenting, we expect kids to follow instructions that seem obvious, forgetting they don't have our life experience. We see disobedience where there is simply difference. All of these patterns come from one simple misunderstanding. We're comparing someone's visible behavior to our own private, invisible expectations. It's not malice, it's perspective blindness. But here's where everything can change. Once you truly understand that your perspective isn't the default template for the world, you stop seeing other people as confusing, flawed versions of yourself. You start seeing them as entirely different worlds. You begin to ask questions instead of making assumptions. How do they see this? What story are they living in? What am I projecting onto them? This shift is subtle, but it's powerful.
It softens arguments. It deepens understanding. It builds empathy right where judgment used to live. There's a beautiful story about this. A man kept getting frustrated with his teenage daughter for leaving the pantry door open. Every day he'd find it slightly ajar, and to him it felt careless, even disrespectful. One day, instead of lecturing her again, he just asked, "Why do you keep leaving this open?" Her answers stopped him cold. "Oh," she said, "I thought you wanted it cracked open for the air to circulate. That's how Mom does it at her house." In that one moment, two realities collided. Two different sets of normal. Neither was wrong. They were just different. He realized the conflict wasn't about disrespect at all. It came from assuming his daughter lived inside his version of the world. She didn't. She lived in hers. And maybe that's the lesson. Every person you meet is a universe you've never visited. Their logic, their emotions, their reactions, none of it is guaranteed to match yours. But when we stop assuming we're all the same, we finally open the door to understanding. And that's where real connection begins.
Okay, I want to leave you with one simple thought today. The next time someone reacts differently than you expect, just pause. It doesn't mean they're wrong or unkind or disconnected. It might just mean they see the world through a different lens than yours. If this video opened your eyes to how uniquely every mind works, make sure to like, subscribe, and stick around for more stories that help you understand yours and the people around you on a deeper level. Thanks for watching. And remember, every person you meet is carrying a world you haven't seen yet.